I'm Britt.
And my name is Alissa.
And this is SkeleTales.
And this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
Alissa, have you ever looked into the night sky and saw something glowing? Perhaps an orb floating around you and you're like, Grandma!
Yeah.
No!
Oh.
It's not Grandma. UFO, baby! In the night sky.
Oh, I thought I had a sighting of my grandma, but it was just a boring old UFO. Actually, I haven't seen a UFO.
Saucer.
I would say I've seen satellites. I've seen this space station. I have not seen glowing lights that I have mistook for my grandmother or a UFO. How about you, my friend? Wait,
you told me about when in Colorado, when you were doing landscaping, you were like orange flaming balls in the sky.
I did see that, but it was a fireball at that point. I thought it was I don't know anymore because, Britt, aliens are fucking real. They're out there. The truth is out there. This is the alien episode, everybody. We've been warning, threatening. I've been threatening. Britt has been fearing. We're trying to be timely because just this week, what happened?
Yes. The government released footage of flying saucers, of unidentified objects. They have a different term for them now, which I didn't write down.
UAP. I know that acronym. You can see where my heart truly lies, apparently. Actually, nope.
Nope. Only half-hearted. Half-hearted lies.
I don't know. Phenomenon. Oh, unidentified aerial phenomenon. UAP. So they've changed it. Unidentified object. Why? I don't know. They had to rebrand.
Rebrand. UFO gets a bad rep, like from people like me.
Yes. Okay. We can get into all that. We will be touching on all that. But do you have anything else you want to talk about first before we get into the very real UFO phenomenon?
No, I have. Nope. You know what? Am I ready? I don't know if I'm ready. But you know what? Let's do this shit. Okay. I will be as ready as I'm ever going to be.
Okay, so we'll just continue. So 60 Minutes this week is what I referred you to. There was an interview and a disclosure about UFOs. My mind is blown. We're doing this because it's topical. Also because I also went into a deep dive and it was the only thing on my mind. And so Britt got dragged into it. I was like, we're doing it. It's happening.
It's fine. We've been talking about it and slightly arguing already throughout the episode. So let's just rip that Band-Aid off and get into it. So what'd you find?
In my mind, Britt, it is like the government releasing Bigfoot footage and being like, actually, this is genuine. This is real, And if it's extraterrestrial, that is insane, right? That's a possibility right now. It is and there's many people in very high government positions being like, this doesn't appear man-made. On tape, fucking senators, seated senators, that is the thing that we've been told is crazy.
I don't trust senators.
Okay. Ex-Navy officials, even old astronauts and shit, who have been to the moon, people who have so much at stake, right? That their reputations. So that's one possibility. And that is just fucking mind-blowing. The implications of that. Oh my God, I've really gone down a rabbit hole. I'm like, are we just fucking their dogs? Either they discovered us, or they found us, or they planted us and they made us, and they're just fucking observing us. They're just watching us, and I'm like, oh my God, are we they just think we're kind of dumb monkeys or something? They can't. It's talking to your not that dogs are dumb monkeys, but we can't communicate with our dog, right? This we can't talk. We're just another animal that they're studying or observing.
The reason why I'm going to disprove you, so I struggle.
No, disprove me, please.
I'm not it's not a disproving, really. But so UFO sort of sightings and excitement for all of that never really started until the 1940s. So I'm sort of disproving the Petri dish theory because wouldn't somebody from the 1800s who's journaling constantly, they'd love to journal in the 1800s, have said more than just like, oh, I was abducted off my pony, on the road. Like, there's none of those. And the phenomena didn't start, the abduction phenomena didn't even start until the 60s. Late 50s, early 60s.
I think there's a whole series on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens that has like pictures of like old paintings with like little starships in the corner and stuff. So if it is the ETs, crazy. The other part of me is pissed because if it is the US government or if it is a foreign government or if it is any government who has fucking non-fossil fuel, high-tech propulsion, all this shit.
Give us that info.
Yeah. And like you said, it's been going on since the 40s then, right? Since the 40s to the 2010s. And now we're just so fucking reliant on fossil fuels. We're killing the planet. And if that was available, like that pisses me off, like immensely. And like, I mean, it's sad that it's a possibility that the fucking big oil controls the world and they've like suppressed that technology.
Ooh, that's fourth option, big oil.
Big oil. So like I get upset about that. But if it were our government or a foreign government, I feel like we would be seeing this in different applications. Right? When we see this around, like I would think we would be seeing signs of it. Who would just hold on to this technology endlessly?
Somebody's going to want to make money on it.
Exactly. Right? And it's not that it was just like a couple of years. I mean, it's been years and years. So they have this technology. Where did it come from? Or they have to devise a fucking plan. If they had to reverse engineer something that they acquired, then it would still be a fucking alien origins. Like everyone's saying, there's no, like our physics doesn't even lead to where this is. Like there's no basis for this. Like my brain has been on like it's meltdown mode. I'm like trying to understand. It is so
your hair's frazzled and you have an aluminum foil hat.
It's that aluminum foil hat. I do have some aluminum here. What do you mean, Britt?
How the hell do you have aluminum in your
I just always keep it, because that was 5Gs. I got my first vaccine. What you didn't? I thought it was standard issue. So the Blink 182 guy. This is kind of going to be my first.
You've thrown his name out a lot.
Okay. Tom DeLonge of Blink 182. Because he's like fairly famous for this. Apparently, I haven't seen that episode. Apparently, he went on Joe Rogan, a podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. Yeah. Like he quit Blink 182 to pursue UFOs. He gets on there. Joe Rogan just like makes fun of him. He starts this To the Stars Academy, where they, with the goal of like slowly apparently disclosing the presence of UFOs to the world, essentially, I guess, but also just to the American people. And so everyone thought he was nutsy. And then people are like, oh shit, it's kind of like going down exactly how Tom DeLonge like said it would. And, or that he's like, oh yeah, I've got these, I've got friends in the CIA. I got friends in the Navy. And people are like, okay, Tom, like literally they thought he lost his mind. Turns out during the whole fucking Hillary Clinton email deal, like back in 2016, emails from Tom DeLonge between all these fucking naval guys and Pentagon guys and stuff were disclosed in that WikiLeaks. And people are like, oh shit, he actually does have these contacts. So I have said he had alluded to what his belief, like, why would the government keep this secret? Why? And he's like, the people can't handle it. So I recently stumbled upon something that did disclose his belief in the aliens. And it is pretty far out there. I mean, he's assuming this is not of this world. Okay. Well, he actually, no, he'll spin it and be like, it is of this world because these are something called the others, quote unquote, the others. And that's what the government and people refer to them as. And they've been here since the beginning, that they've actually, they made us, like they altered the DNA of monkeys and they made us, and we might even be owned by them. And they are actually, the gods and goddesses of ancient Greek, and they're what you've heard about then in the olden times, and they love war. We don't know why, but they want to keep us at war and keep us warring and fighting between us. We don't know if they feed off their negative energy or what. But then even Jesus may have been one of these aliens. And then the star of Bethlehem was actually a UFO because it shone so bright above the horizon. And that the city of Atlantis was real. And they didn't want to go along with this world power of the others. And so since they disobeyed and wouldn't go to war, they got annihilated. And there's another, I forget what the other population was. And then that we're basically just a cargo cult that like these aliens have appeared over time in history, and that we have just major religions have been built around the appearance of these others, which are actually like these, what do they call them? They're ultra terrestrials. They're they were here before any of us. And that the cattle mutilation and abductions that happen now with these, they're affiliated with like now UFOs, it's happening because we no longer sacrifice our cattle and people like ancient civilizations did. So they're forced to abduct us and kill our cattle as the form of sacrifice. Or some. Okay, when I was curious what his theory was, this is where you're like, I
gotta quote him some more, huh?
I'm not gonna quote him. I've always been like, I mean, it's a bizarre thing. I really don't know what I think about it all, but the fact that there are like I said, high-ranking officials coming forward saying this shit is real. Obama, for the fucking love of God, Barack Obama was on the TV saying, yes, we have these little vehicles that we don't know what they are. They move in ways we're not capable of moving.
Obama didn't say the Star of Bethlehem.
No, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. But like, so there's some, that's it. Like people, like the theories are wild and out of the world and out of this world.
Fun. It feels like a catch-all to me where it's like ancient Greece, aliens, baby Jesus, aliens, where Buddha, aliens, where it's like, oh, he turned water to wine. Alien. It just seems like such a
dude. Yeah,
a cop out. An easy excuse to explain miracles. I don't know.
I don't know. Like I said, I did not see that coming. That theory is interesting to me. It's an intriguing theory, and I think that's what Ancient Aliens is all about too. I have not watched the show, but I think that's it. It's like, were the pyramids built by aliens? Like, I don't really know the math.
I can definitely. Humans are small-minded. I get that, and I know that it's a real thing, and we're like one-tracked minds that are easily distracted. But whether it's aliens that control us, I don't know.
Dude,
I'm trying really hard to be open-minded tonight.
You just think it's a government, but then they're keeping the super stupid high-tech shit from us. Or you think that it happened, right?
Sure they would. The government would do that,
for like 80 years the government's or some shit on all the governments. You don't think that they could sell a fucking self-levitating cell phone? They wouldn't, or something? Or like
you know what can do really sharp turns and like move really quickly, like a laser pen light. Like, you look at it on the wall, it is so fast, and then like, so I don't even, the technology for that laser light to just move so quickly around the wall, it's all like, it could even just be an optical illusion that everybody is falling for too. I do love magic,
dude. That's insane.
You froze. You didn't even hear me.
I heard you. I heard that whole thing that it might be a laser pointer, and we're just all the cats of the universe. We're all like, oh, look at this. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. Oh, shit. It moved over there. How did it move over there? I'm going to get it. I don't got it. No, because a lot of the physics too are like of a light. Like you're spot on with that it's like they're moving at the speed of light.
It's God up in the heavens in the clouds with his laser pointer.
That's all it is.
Look at him. Oh my God, they're like so freaking out right now. Oh my God, that's so cool.
And then he turns it off and we're like, it disappeared. It disappeared. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh my God, it's in a different dimension. And then he turns it back on. Oh God. Oh Lord. It's possible, man. At this point now, I feel like anything is possible. It's all possible.
That's wackadoo about DeLonge, Shalong. So I'm going a little bit off of our rules, and I broke the rules a little bit, Alissa. I'm going to talk about a place that has everything.
Ooh.
This place has UFOs. It has poltergeists. It has Bigfoot. It has cropsicles. It has mutilated cows.
Oh, hell yeah. I know what you're talking about, I think.
It has skinwalkers.
Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker Ranch. Is it the one that you had? Were you going to talk about it too?
No. I'm so happy that you chose this because all I know is that Robert Bigelow, that's his name.
Yep.
Okay, Bigelow.
He comes up.
He owned it, and like we have someone in our SkeleTales community who grew up right near there. He says, but I don't know what people have seen exactly. Like I know of the activity there, but I don't. I thought about diving into that, but I didn't.
Okay, so I got my sources from a horrible documentary called Hunt for the Skinwalker. I highly recommend never watching it. An article from Deseret News from the 90s, and the website skinwalkerranch.org. Also, there is a newish TV series called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
I watched one episode of that.
Do you recommend that one?
You know what? It was not bad. I think I
Okay.
might watch a few more episodes.
Because I will say I watched 2 documentaries very excitedly that I would not recommend to anybody else. So
they seem so catchy with their titles, and it's like, oh
yeah.
God.
I'm not just
Never
lapping
even
up
taken a class.
anything that comes my way. I'm like, oh no. They're like, someone walking out of a meeting said to his buddy, "What about ET, huh?" And they're like, this is obviously confirmation of alien life. This was in the month that E.T. the movie was released, but obviously it was,
connecting the dots.
Yes. Like, I'm like,
Okay.
oh, no. Okay. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right, I'm going to tell you about this ranch. It's 512 acres out in the middle of nowhere, northeast Utah. And the ranch borders the Ute Indian Reservation. So surrounded by Indian Reservation. I'm going to travel with time back to the year 1994. Terry and Gwen Sherman buy the ranch after it had been vacant for over 7 years. They buy this ranch in hopes of running a successful cattle business. They have 2 kids, a teenage boy and an 8-year-old daughter. Shortly after moving in, though, they start experiencing some strange things. They were regularly seeing strange bright lights in the sky. And at first they thought that they were headlights from a vehicle, but then the lights started going over the treetops, and they realized that is not a truck flying in the sky. What's interesting, though, and I wrote this down when you said it, is that a lot of these sightings happen around nuclear test sites. Well, not but 30 miles down the road is when, back in the 50s, they did those huge nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
Only about 30 miles from this ranch.
Really?
So this is making more sense now. And there's actually, from the first episode of that TV series, they were catching like tons of radiation on this ranch.
Oh, no.
So keep that in mind maybe a little bit while I'm telling you these stories. Okay. So in their pasture, shortly after they move in, they find these 8-foot wide circles where the grass had been flattened down, but not just a straight circle. The circle was like done in some kind of strange triangular pattern. Unexplainable. But the thing that actually, they've kind of, disproven crop circles. So that one I just kind of dusted under the rug. They also, though, found these large divots, circles dug up around the property. It's like these holes that were around 3 to 4 feet in diameter, where about 6 to 12 inches deep soil had been completely removed. And there were dozens of them around the property that would just show up overnight. Now, in order to get such a large amount of soil out of the ground and off the property, you would have had some kind of equipment. There was no equipment. I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere. And in order to even get equipment in there, you would have had to disassemble the fence, like break the fence down to get equipment in. And not only that, there's no soil piles nearby. Like the soil was gone. So the family would continually hear footsteps outside the window of their home, and they would look and see black, faceless figures looking into the house. And in the house, no, I'm going to get back to in the house later. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. So Terry is the rancher who has the ranch. Terry was in the pasture one day, and middle of the field, he hears two male voices speaking an unfamiliar language. And they're coming from above him, and he looks up, and it sounds like they're about 25 feet above his head. His dogs start barking and growling at these voices. And Terry's standing there listening. And finally, he turns his head up and he goes, "I can hear you." And then the voices stop. And then they hear one of the voices start laughing, mocking laugh. And then they start talking again.
What? No, no.
Where did the voices? Oh, Alissa, stop. This is just the beginning.
I'm just going to say again, I am so happy you chose this because I've heard a lot about Skinwalker Ranch, and every time I've Googled it or something, like I never get like, it's just like, oh, it's this place, Robert Bigelow and blah, blah, blah. I don't know any of the actual shit that happens there, or it's like,
I did have to kind of dig a little. Okay, I will say, like it's not like all of this isn't on Wikipedia, which I was hoping for. I had to do some research.
I appreciate it so much because even as somebody who's sort of like into this, right, like or who's been trying to pay attention, I don't know I don't know any of the stuff you're telling me. It's all new to me.
Well, here's the deal: when I was looking for first-person experiences, it's like, oh. Here's my experience. I saw an orb in the sky. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. The end.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good story.
No, it isn't.
All right. So here is a good one. Though.
Okay.
Terry on the ranch with his son, and they're out by the cow pens one day next to where the calves and the mamas are, when he sees a huge, large black dog off in the distance. But it was larger than a dog. It was almost like a huge wolf. And it starts trotting up towards him. But he gets the impression that it's not a wild dog, like it's a trained dog. Maybe it's a neighbor's dog or something. And it walks up right to him, ready to be pet. And Terry pets this wolf dog. And then the dog calmly makes its way over to where the pen is. And it rips into one of the calf's nose. It locks its jaws onto a calf's nose, and it's trying to rip it out of the pen. It's ripping it. So Terry freaks out. He yells at his son, "Go get the gun!" And Terry finds this huge stick. He goes up to the dog and he starts hitting the dog with the stick. The stick has no effect on the dog whatsoever. Eventually, the son makes it back with the gun. Terry is at close range with this dog and he fires a shot. Nothing. No yelp. The dog doesn't budge. Nothing. 2 shots. 3 shots. On the 4th shot, this is at close range. The dog finally lets go of the snout of this calf. And then he shoots him again, a 5th shot, and the dog finally starts trotting away. And I'm not talking running away. And he starts trotting away, and then he puts a 6th shot into the dog, and Terry sees the bullet go through the dog. He sees a piece of the flesh fall off of the dog, but the dog's just trotting away. It's not even running. Not phased at all.
It's the rabies, right?
There's no blood anywhere. It's just trotting off. So then they start to follow the dog. They start to follow the tracks. The dog makes its way into the woods. They're following it. They follow these tracks all the way to this creek bed where the tracks are in the middle of the creek bed and then vanish.
Did you say this was a normal sized like neighbor dog or a big neighbor dog?
No. Huge.
A huge, so, but like just a huge regular dog, like I'm picturing it
was all black, and they ended up showing Terry some different images. Like, this is what a regular dog looks like. He's like, no, it didn't look like that. This is what a wolf looks like. It's a little closer but bigger. They showed him a dire wolf, and they're like, yeah, that's more like it. So this thing was giant. Like, imagine, what's the Winter's coming. Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones dire wolves. That's the size that we're imagining here.
I have a disclosure of my own I need to make. I've never seen Games of Thrones. I'm sorry.
Disappointment, but it's okay. We can still be friends. Anyways, so then the tracks vanish. They're heading back up to the ranch, and they are looking for this piece of flesh because they're like, we shot this thing. We're curious what the hell this thing is. They get to where this piece of flesh is had been ripped off of the dog, and it is not a normal looking. It is rotted and old and looks decayed as they're holding it.
Like a zombie dog.
The assumption is that Terry has just encountered a Skinwalker. Now, I'm going to tell you what a Skinwalker is because I didn't know.
No.
So maybe you don't know. So Skinwalker comes from Navajo culture. In Navajo culture, there are what are they? The shamans. Like, oh God, they're not even called shamans. I didn't.
You've said the two words that the medicine man. I don't know.
Yes, it's like the medicine man, and they help and they heal. This is the opposite of that. It's somebody who knows the magic. It's the opposite of a healer. So it's somebody who knows the magic, but they're harmful. They're like the Darth Vader evil version of that.
They're like the Darth Vader of the Native Americans.
Without knowing the term for it, it's basically a harmful witch who has the ability to turn into and possess and disguise themselves as an animal. And that is how Skinwalker Ranch was renamed from UFO Ranch to Skinwalker Ranch.
Wait, so it was UFO Ranch before? Maybe I missed that part. It was UFO Ranch and then it became
No, you didn't miss it. I forgot to tell you that. Well,
I thought it had some random name like Randall Ranch or something. I
think before it was probably Sherman Ranch because that was their last name.
There we go. Yes, that's probably
much more boring than Skinwalker Ranch. Okay. So strange things continue to happen on the property. Things that are real poltergeistery. I just made that word up, but I like it.
I like it.
Real trickster is on the land. So doors in the house that would have been locked become unlocked. Dog pens would become locked, and then the lock would just completely vanish and then reappear the next day. Equipment and tools would go disappearing, then reappearing hours later in different spots, or sometimes days later in completely different places. Terry had a post hole digger that had gone missing, couldn't find it anywhere, so he goes and he buys a new post hole digger. The next day, they found his post hole digger 30 feet up in a tree.
Randy, I think, wait, is it Randy? Is that his name? Terry? What's his name?
Terry.
Randy. I don't buy that for a sec. I think you were just fucking around the tree, forgot that you put your post hole digger. I'm married to a dude. Dudes are like that. They're like, oh shit, is that where I left it? I need a new one. It's disappeared. No, you left it in the tree, Randy. No, Terry.
If it just was Terry having this happen to, I would say, sure.
Okay.
Fine.
That's not the most compelling piece of information.
His wife, Gwen, she'd be cooking. She has a spoon. She sets it down. The spoon ends up in the living room.
ADD.
Utensils in the kitchen would be moving. One time, Gwen put all of the groceries away. She puts them away, and then she leaves the kitchen into the living room, comes back. All the groceries are back on the table like she'd never put them away. Nightmare. Horrible nightmare.
That's terrible.
She went into the bathroom to take a shower, locks the door behind her. When she gets out, her towel and hairbrush are in completely different spots, and the door had been locked the entire time. So something's fucking with them in this house.
I feel that. I poke holes in shit that I almost believe in too. I'm like, logical. ADD. I do that shit all the time. Milk in the cupboard, not a poltergeist, just me.
I do that too.
Yeah, me being me.
That too.
No, okay, carry on.
Okay, this is my favorite one though. So one day, 3 ranch hands spend 4 hours moving these huge corral poles from one spot to a few yards away to a different location. 4 hours, 3 of them going back and forth, back and forth. when they're done, they go inside, they get a drink of water, and they come back outside. Every single corral pole that they had moved was back in the original location, but just an inch off from the location that it was at.
Why? But okay,
Just
like none of it makes
them.
sense. But like only putting like the extra inch. Also, they're like, you know what? Let's like that doesn't like the fact that they're pretty much the same spot where they started. Like the extra inch. It's just like
That's how they sold it to me.
Anyway, okay.
I guess because maybe Terry came out and he was like, dude, you were supposed to move these. And they were like, we did move them. And he's like, no, you didn't. But look, they moved 1 inch, Terry.
They pull out their ruler. Look, Terry, it was definitely an inch to the right before
it was here, and now it's 1 inch over.
Be more specific, Terry. We moved them. Oh, Lord. Okay.
So, as I had mentioned before, Terry and Gwen had seen some UFOs in the sky. One looked like headlights, like we talked about. They had seen one that was a small box-like shape, and then one that looked almost like a long ship that just lit up the whole canyon. And then there was one that was like red and wavy looking. And they saw these aircrafts regularly. It was not something where it's like, ooh, ah, it was almost like, oh, there it is again. But, so side note on these UFO sightings, and also now related to nuclear sites or whatever, these UFO sightings are not just limited to this ranch. So in this particular area of Utah, they're estimated that about half of the residents have claimed to have seen something in the sky. Most of them are also like country folk and ranchers and reluctant to even talk about it to outsiders. But these sightings have actually been documented as early as 1776, apparently, by a Spanish monk.
What?
Who wrote it down, said he saw something in the sky.
You were just giving me shit to debunk me, saying that this doesn't exist before 1950, and you have this, oh my God, talk about psyops, Britt, fucking with me. You had it the whole time.
Okay, so we know hundreds, if not thousands of people in the area have claimed to see these things in the sky. So Terry is seeing these objects, and shortly after he starts seeing the objects, strange things start happening with his herd of cows. Cows start disappearing and showing up dead and mutilated. He finds one cow that has a hole in its left eyeball.
Oh, no.
Nope. No blood anywhere. Another cow has a hole in its left eyeball and a 6-inch perfectly cut circle in its rectum.
Oh, both
Another cow looked like it had been lifted high and then dropped from a really great height and just splattered on the ground.
Ugh.
One cow looked like it had just its skull removed, and everything else was normal, but the skull was missing, no blood. Another one, just the flesh on its face was completely removed. One snowy day, Terry let the cows out, and a cow had gone missing. He'd seen it go out. He saw it walk over to this area, and then he goes back. The cow's gone. So he follows the tracks. Maybe this cow's wandered off into the woods or whatever. Follows the tracks. They stop in the field and vanish. No tracks any further than that. The cow tracks vanish.
Oh, that's creepy. That's like the least of all the eyeballs and stuff. That might be like the creepiest.
So one day, Terry goes out to tag the calves. It's the new cows that I guess each cow probably gets tagged. I don't know how cattlemen would do it.
Cowman? The cowman?
Cattleman?
I like cowman. That's good.
So he goes to the first calf that's with its mama. It's about an 80-pounder. He tags its ear and then heads down through the field about 300 yards away and starts tagging the other calves. The dog that's with him starts barking and growling really loudly in the direction of the first calf that he just tagged. So he looks over and he sees the mama cow pacing frantically back and forth, and it's limping, clearly super distressed. So he walks back to where this mama cow is, and he finds the baby calf. And I saw a photo of this. It's pretty freaky. The calf is splayed out on its back, and it has its 4 legs spread out, and all of its organs are missing. All of its muscles are missing, and there is not a speck of blood anywhere. And the ear that Terry has just tagged has been sliced off with laser-like precision.
I was just going to ask you if there's like, what are the tools? Like laser, like, okay.
It would have had to have been surgically sharp blades is the only thing that could like have sliced it off so clean. So the quote says, "Nothing on this planet has the capability of removing 60 pounds of flesh and blood in under 45 minutes. There were no animal tracks or even human tracks for that matter to be found anywhere near the body or area." I mean, minus Terry's or whatever, but that kind of stuff was happening on the regular. So despite losing so many head of cattle, Terry and Gwen go ahead and purchase 4 huge purebred bulls. Now, these guys are huge. They're 2,000 pounds each. And they get them to the ranch and they put them in this large corral. And Terry's driving away with Gwen, and he makes a comment. He's like, "How awful would it be if we were to lose one of these bulls?" And he made the comment because they just lost so many. Like, all of these cows are disappearing and being mutilated and stuff. Well, it was almost as if this weird trickster poltergeist heard what Terry said. An hour later, they return to the corral, and the bulls are gone. Terry is freaking out because this is a huge investment for his like business. He gets out of his truck and he's walking up to the pen. Now, next to the bullpen, there's this metal trailer. And imagine, if you will, it's kind of like the back of like an 18-wheeler, like one of those, except like smaller. Mm-hmm. So not as big as an 18-wheeler. But that kind of rectangular metal structure. And they use it to store tools and equipment and stuff. Now, it has 2 entrances. One is this small door on the side of it. And a small door on the end of it. And then on the side of it, there's like a bit of a larger door that's closed together with like some twisted wire. Okay. He looks over at this and like nothing's been disturbed. Like nothing... Locks are on, wires twisted like normal, but just on a whim, he decides that he's going to open this trailer up. Inside this smallish trailer are all 4 of his bulls, and they all have this strange dazed look on their face, and he's instantly relieved. He calls out to Gwen, "Gwen, I found him!" The yelling of his voice like wakes these bulls out of their stupor that they were in, and they completely wreak havoc on the inside of this trailer. They destroy everything in it. It takes them 4 hours to get these bulls out of this trailer. And so just to estimate, even if one person or even if several people were trying to get one bull into this smallish trailer, it would have taken hours, if not been impossible altogether. And the fact that within 1 hour, all 4 of them were inside this supposedly locked. There was no way really. I mean, everything was as it had been left. Is pretty bananas.
I don't know enough about bull movements and like moving cattle and all this. I've seen like
I don't either, but I can imagine what a 2,000-pound raging bull looks like.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that he found his bulls. That was heartwarming. I was like scared, and the fact they were just like in a room and trashing some shit is better than
me too.
Rectum holes.
Yeah.
They just rectum trailers.
That was good. Thanks for that. Rectum. Okay. Okay. Diverging over a little bit, telling you a little bit about this place. There's the main homestead. That's where the family lives. There's this middle homestead. And then there's the south homestead. That's where the animals live. So this middle homestead is what I'm going to talk about, though. On it, it has all of these old abandoned structures that haven't been used for a long time. They're decaying. Super creepy looking. And this is where most of the UFO activity or sightings have taken place.
Oh.
Once someone saw this flying object come closer and closer. Now, I should say, everybody sees, we're here at Skinwalker Ranch. Everyone sees the UFOs. This is no big deal, but these are different versions of the UFOs. So this particular one, they see this object coming closer and closer, and it was orange in color, and it floated down and opened up like a portal. And this person could see on the other side of the portal, and it looked like he was looking into another sky, but like a different sky than was his own. And then something flies out of the portal, and then it closes.
What?
In the same area, another person witnesses a light floating down, and the light floats down about 4 feet off the ground, opens up into another portal, and they say that an 8-foot tall black humanoid creature, Bigfoot, climbs out of the portal, climbs out, and then just walks off into the night. The portal vanishes, gone.
Dude.
Now, when I hear these stories, I am reminded of the television episode that I watched where the guy has his little radiation monitor and it's like radiation is off the chart.
Yeah, I wonder about this.
So part of me is like, are these people just high, poisoned on radiation from working on this ranch for so long? Who knows? Now, I'm not sure of the timeline of when those portal instances happened, but about 2 years after Terry has lived on the ranch, enduring the poltergeists and the flying saucers and the mutilated cows, he is out in his pasture and he sees these glowing balls that are floating around, and they're blue and they're giving off this crackling sound. And they're about the size of a baseball, and they get really close to one of his horses. And then they go and they get really close to the face of one of his cows. And then they start moving, and they start moving right up next to his face. And he can see that it's a glass-like ball, and it has some kind of blue liquid in it, and it's crackling. And he says that that is the scaredest that he has ever been in his life. And the 3 dogs that are next to him are freaking out. They're barking and growling. And then the blue ball, well, there's more than one, so the blue balls.
Yeah.
They start moving. Beavis and Bud.
Oh my God. What did we just say? Rectum? Balls, blue balls. Rectum.
They start moving off into the woods, and the dogs start chasing after these blue balls into the forest. And Terry's watching his dogs go into the woods, and then he hears one of the dogs yelp.
No.
But as mentioned, Terry, this is the scaredest he's been in his life. So it is night. He's not going to fuck with it. He goes inside. That night, the dogs do not return to the home. The next morning, he decides to go check on the edge of the woods where the dogs had chased those balls. In the woods, there are 3 large burn marks on the ground. And above the burn marks where the trees are, it's singed, burnt on the trees. And in the center of these burn marks on the ground, there appears to be some kind of weird grease. And he said it looked like shortening.
Ew.
Just these piles of greasy shortening. And he said eventually, after months, the grass grew back, but the trees never grew back from that. And the dogs never returned, never saw those dogs again.
Wait, so were they like liquefied into like little fat piles? That's what it sounds like. All right.
But that was the last fucking straw for Terry. He was like, fuck this shit. I did not sign up for this. Now, a few months earlier, before he'd hit his last straw, somebody had suggested that Terry contact the newspaper with all the shit that's been happening on his ranch. And he was really reluctant to do it because he's a very reasonable man. His wife is very reasonable, and they're not out for attention or fame. But he does end up talking with the newspaper, Deseret News, which I had gotten some information on, and ends up telling part of his story to the newspaper. But through that article, word got to our man, billionaire Robert Bigelow.
Okay.
He found out about all the happenings that were happening on the ranch and had Terry write down meticulous every single incident in absolute great detail. I could not find this document. I think it's all very top secret. So Bigelow ends up buying the ranch for $200,000. 512 acres for $200,000.
How much did the Shermans buy it for? How much did Terry? Did he lose money on this deal?
He bought it. He did lose money on the deal. He was ready to leave. So he essentially bought it but around the price.
Okay.
I think Terry got it for a little more than 200, but around the price. And I think at that point Terry's done. He's like,
well, what a pickle to be in.
Take it.
Like, it's you bought this place and you can't get rid. Okay, so Robert Bigelow.
So Bigelow buys it. He buys Terry's cattle. He's in addition to the house and stuff, and he makes Terry and the family sign a non-disclosure agreement so they could never talk about this with the public again.
Oh, really? Oh my!
Yes.
No wonder we don't know. Like, where'd you find this? How'd you find this story?
These were all articles written in the 90s before he signed the agreement with Bigelow.
Shit. That's why I literally have been like, what's the deal with Skinwalker? And like, I've kind of just given up. I haven't done deep, but like, because usually this shit just pops up, but you dug. I love it.
I dug a little.
Because I'd heard, they moved out and that was it. That's all I'd heard. Like, okay.
Bigelow is this billionaire. I think he's got his hand in lots of different pots, but he has a shit ton of money and he's super into UFO research. And actually, it's supposed that he has been contracted by the U.S. government in regards with the recent UFO video footage that was released. Like, he had his hands on that, like, before the government even had their hands on it. Like, he's got some information.
You know who he's buddies with? Tom DeLonge of Blink-182.
Of course
he's on the board of To the Stars Academy.
Tom DeLonge.
DeLonge.
Oh, my God. I don't know what to think about Bigelow. I didn't research him enough.
I can tell you two things about him. What I know is that he got rich from real estate. And he had his grandparents had a UFO encounter as a kid. All of this was based on personal family encounters. And he was like, I am going to make enough money in my life so I can go research this shit and get to the bottom of this shit. And so that was his goal. He didn't really tell anybody. He graduated with like,
love that.
And so once he started fucking rolling in, he started in Arizona buying like apartment complexes and this and that. And then he's followed through.
Got like hotel chains now.
Yeah, he's put more funds as a private citizen. He's put more funds into UFO research than any other private citizen in the country or something like that. And he's like into it and he's serious. And he is affiliated with this whole non-disclosure group or this whole disclosure group that you're talking about, who does include the Blink-182 dude. But anyway, he's one of them. They all have different like, dude, if it really is UFOs, it's like fucking shit, man. Anything is possible. Right?
Anything is fucking possible.
So he gets that.
Bigelow gets the ranch and he starts the NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science, NIDS. And he hires all of these like top of the line scientists to come out and research the ranch and like what's going on here, what's happening. They set up cameras all over the place, and they were there a while. They were there a while. And they did experiments, and they tried to recreate a lot of the happenings that were happening to the Sherman family. But in 2016, I think Bigelow was moving on to bigger and better things. He ends up selling the ranch to another real estate tycoon, Brandon Fugal. Now, if you ever decide to watch the TV series about the Skinwalker, he plays a big role. I'm pretty sure he's just funding the whole TV series because he's hired. He also has a whole group of people out there, except now there are cameras and they're bigger and better. And there's like a control room and it's bigger and better. And
I've never heard of this fellow, Fugal. And it's his real, it's a I don't know the Skinwalker show or anything.
It's called The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch. I actually am going to keep watching because they left on a huge cliffhanger. They were like, all right, we're going to have to, the point is they hire this like physicist to come in and like study, he's a genius, so that he's here to study the ranch. And he says, well, he catches all the radiation. And he's like, well, we need to dig and see the radiation in the soil and get that. And everyone's like, no, you can't dig. I dug in the ranch one time and I had huge tumor grow in my head. And he's like, okay, but that doesn't really tell me why I can't dig on the ranch. And so then they get Brandon Fugal, the tycoon, on, and he's like, you can't dig on the ranch because of what's in this black briefcase. And then the guy comes out with the black, and then they do it, Pulp Fiction style, where they open it up and he's like, ooh. And now I have to watch episode 2. What's in the black
So
suitcase?
It's a documentary show?
Yeah.
Oh God. I am was the physicist guy, did he have a French accent or a German accent?
No, super country, okay. Which makes you not want to it's really sad to say, but they've actually done people with real thick country accents. They're just seem unintelligent to everybody else. So he comes in, I'm supposed to be really smart, dude.
Real country physicist.
I'm real smart. Trust me.
Oh Lordy. See, you can say that because you're from Texas and people have strong accents there. I'm from Western New York. I probably grew up with more cows and cattle around me than you did. I don't know.
I
probably did.
We have a lot of Longhorns.
Yeah, we have a lot of dairy farms and stuff out where I grew up. Like, it's definitely a ruraler area too.
Ooh, that was long.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
No, is that it? Is that it?
That's it.
Oh
my God. We're up to date. I didn't even know about
Fugal. So yeah, that's very interesting. And then the other thing I heard about Robert Bigelow, he's like, yeah, we used to try to like set up all these like traps for them and set up cameras and this and that, but they were like fucking with us. Like they knew they were always one step ahead. It's not like, again, kind of, I feel like we are the squirrels. We are the wildlife in this situation where we can't get it. They're way ahead of us. They're like smarter.
Here's the thing. Was it aliens, or is it this Native American trickster spirit hanging around that's just like, you're on my fucking land. It didn't actually, it mutilated the cows and stuff, if that's what it was. But it was like more of like a trickster than like, or maybe it's two separate things. You've got the trickster happening, and then also you have like aliens cutting up cows. I don't know.
Or it's the ultra terrestrial. They're one and the same. These ancient myths. Like we talked about this before, though, the Bigfoots and stuff, like the Skinwalkers or these, who knows, right?
Actually, Bigfoot makes more sense to be a Skinwalker than it does to be like an animal type ape creature. Just because it is so human-like and because it's so elusive, where it's like if it's a skinwalker, can come and go as it please. It doesn't have to be like hiding in a cave somewhere, you know? I only just connected this.
Yes.
I am not the first person, I'm sure.
I don't know. And then also, like, maybe the aliens are after the radiation. Maybe that's what powers their ships. Maybe they're, maybe they're like soaking that shit up. It's like, oh, this is a real nice source of this shit.
Or literally, maybe every single person who's been exposed to radiation is going cuckoo bananas, and they're like, I see lights everywhere.
See them.
It's so beautiful.
I really enjoyed that recap of Skinwalker Ranch, and I think I'm going to have to go check that out.
Don't watch that documentary, but the TV show, I think it'll be good. We're going to go long. I'm sorry.
We're going to go long. It's okay. I chatted a lot in that beginning.
You got to keep DeLonge's thing, though.
DeLonge. It is nutty, right? It's pretty crazy, but they're all like, that is the freaky thing. That is so out there and so crazy, but also a few years back, everyone was laughing at him saying, Psh, there's no UFO program. There's no Navy program. You're fucking nuts. And then that's true. So I think it's like this like weird apprehension of like
how much
oh,
is
shit.
Yes, telling us?
Was that for... Dude, like I've even gone to like, I'm like, is this just all a fucking simulation? Are we just a video game? Is this all like just presented to us? Like even this history that we're told about, maybe it isn't fucking real. It's all just a fucking like a plot where we're just here right now. None of that shit actually happened. That's the story. That's the backstory. But like, dude,
I don't like it.
It is what are the chances in 2 years? We've had a fucking global pandemic and then aliens are here. Like, what the fuck is happening? This is like a movie or
that actually does feel like we're in a petri dish and they're just like, all right, what next? Let's throw this thing on them. Let's see what happens. What are they gonna do? It's like an ant pile and you're throwing twigs on. What happens if we throw this flaming hot red hot candy on him?
Even the idea like the Jesus was an alien sounds at first bit like that's ridiculous, and that's like, oh shit, like he could like levitate, he could like the stories. I don't know if aliens can heal. It didn't sound like he did a lot of cattle mutilations or
that was more I think
Old Testament. I don't know. Still, it's just, it's very interesting, the people. And I'm like, what's the proof? Where are you getting this? Is somebody telling you this? Or is this your own,
you
like, are you talking to these beings?
3 a.m., DeLonge's like, this idea. Tip, let me email the Navy.
That theory about the myths and the gods and goddesses comes from Jacques Vallée, who is a French or German physicist. He is not a deep South Kentucky physicist.
Someone who talks like this he's more trustworthy.
Yes. UFOs. He, again, a very established like astronomer. He invented the fucking internet. He was one of the dudes who invented the internet, like a super smart dude and this and that. And he came up with this theory that it was extraterrestrials. He's now come up with the interdimensional. Like he's like, no, I don't actually think it's from outer space. I think it's of this earth in different dimensions or some shit. So I think that's where DeLonge's theory comes from. But like, again, there's all these theories and there's just not enough information.
Or proof. It's a little blip that there are some photos of some objects in the sky and a little bit of footage of some objects in the sky, but
and a lot of theories. That's what I meant by information. I meant proof. The whole thing with the radiation and the atomic testing, it is interesting but then you threw out the 1772. We weren't doing atomic testing.
But can you trust Spanish monks? I don't know if I can.
A monk, they're not trustworthy.
If anyone's...
There's this one dude in this whole disclosure deal, like Lou Espinoza or some shit like that, who is now running for Congress. It's a little fishy, but he has a goatee, and I just like can't trust him because of the goatee. Like I would be, I don't want to shame anybody for any particular anything, but I have a lot of trouble with his little like landing strip goatee that's like an inch past his chin.
Yes!
It's like.
I am so glad you mentioned that. It is like a rabbit's tail has been glued onto his chin, and it is so distracting.
It's so distracting.
So distracting. I want to believe you, man, but all I can see is the brightest white rabbit's tail on your chin.
I'm like, just shave it. Just like shave it. And then I want to comment on it.
What are you holding on to?
I don't know. And then, but then I like don't want to shame him for his face hair, but it's a lot. Like I can't get past the goatee. I like that is more unbelievable to me than aliens is the fact that he walks around with that on his chin like that.
Okay, so you heard us talk about aliens, UFOs, supernatural things. If you've got some thoughts on it, if you've got a good story, tell us, please, several ways. Email.
Yes. That's my cue. I seriously, my brain is so in
you
like
were
outer
already
space
thinking,
right
like,
now.
What ifs?
I want to hear what you think these are. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
what do you, dear listeners, think these are? I want to know your opinion on it all. So Britt might listen. She might listen to your opinion. I really want to know. She'll entertain it if it interests her enough. My email. So just email me personally.
Don't even email Britt.
You can email us at SkeleTalesPodcast@gmail.com. If you want to tell Britt all about it, you can call her.
Please do.
What's our number?
302-689-DEAD. 302-689-3323. Also, we're on some social medias. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTokies. Twitter.
I think so. Facebook. That's all of them. Wherever. If we're not on one that you want us to be on, we'll set up an account. Might never post. Yeah. Tell us about it though. We have a merch shop.
We've got t-shirts, mugs, notebooks, stickers, keychains. We've got some really fun stuff that actually you will want to wear and show off. I think that's everything. If you love us, then come and rate and review. If you hate us, don't do that.
Yeah.
Actually, why are you still here if you hate us?
Yeah, why are you still listening? Honestly, this is the end of the podcast. Very, very end.
You know what? I love you guys. I'm glad you're still here at the end. Alissa!
Hey, Britt, what? Hey, what's up?
Hunt you later.
Hunt you later.
Bye.